My friend Jim, he had an interesting, his, particularly his dad, was his mom too, but his dad named was Rudy, and his mom's name was Betty, and his older brother's name was Ted, and his younger sister's name was Lisa. Just a wonderful family. And because of because of the financial largesse of the family, they were living large. I mean, they had it going on. When Ted left, when James left, he went to. So I said he went to Europe. Yeah, he went to Europe, and he stayed in these islands off of Spain, the Balearic Islands, and he stayed there. And then he stayed there for about a year and a half. And he came back and he stayed in Canada. And then he stayed in Canada for about 3 years, maybe 4, but I think 3 years. And then he decided to come back to the United States. So he crossed the border. Well, because he had been designated a deserter, the government fell heavy-handed on him. They didn't make him, he didn't go to jail, but he got kind of defrocked of all his rights. So he had no right, he didn't have a right to do anything. He couldn't, he couldn't vote, there's just certain things he couldn't do because he had the stigma on him about when you get in that situation, you got a dishonorable discharge from the service, and that it's not like they send it to everybody all around, but it ends up being part of your history. So things were difficult for him. So he ended up, because he had made friends with people when he was living in Europe, he began to do some importing of goods from the Middle East, primarily. So that was kind of going along. But at the same time, he was becoming a little more, his personality was changing. And partly it was that he knew that somehow, in his own way, that, of course, it would never be the same, and that he ended up, then he would have to do more adjusting than maybe the society would. And he would tell me, he would come out of my house and actually talk to me and my dad and stuff and tell us that he still strongly believed that what he did was the right thing. He made a statement. It was ironic that the war had been declared over a long time, but nevertheless he felt that still he was being victimized by all it all because he had somehow taken a different stance. That was the beginning of an erosion of his mental and social and psychological faculties, where he began to become more and more marginalized in his own mind and actually in a physical way. And I saw that, and I guess the saddest thing for me was that it had an impact on our friendship, on our relationship, where this is a man I loved, I respected, I admired, both him and his family. And there seemed to be little that we could do to help. So as he began to go through this kind of almost demented status, he became more isolated from me and from some of the people that really appreciated him and liked him. I got to the point where I would see him someplace. He became homeless. He wasn't very receptive to people helping him because his mindset was that was just in a whole another place or whatever. I think he felt so disrespected by the society as a whole. Not me personally, or not even his family personally, but me. But I don't even know that I don't even think that even factored in, because if he knew that I think we cared about him a lot, but that's not what he was looking for. Some reciprocity from. He was looking for some redemption, some forgiveness from the society as a whole, the government, for example, to say, well, okay, that conflict is over. Maybe it was a mistake anyway. So the fact that you didn't want to be in it, or whatever, let's just wipe the slate clean and start all over, so you can have all your rights back. But they never said that. So he got further isolated